Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli back with another review video, and of course, reviewing, Halloweenish films. And that's right. And as I teased in the last review, that I would be reviewing something straight from the one and only Stephen King, and that being from 1982, Creepshow. Yeah, so Creepshow. Because I had watched this for the first time, and, I gotta say, this was an interesting film, I should say, and hey, coming straight from Stephen King. Directed by George A. Romero, and, it's kind of surprising, he directed the entire movie, all 5 segments, because there are 5 segments in this film. The story, of course, the description. An anthology which tells 5 terrifying tales inspired by the EC horror comic books of the 1950s. So, yeah, even say the movie opens with this kid being confronted by his dad, who's kind of abusive, even slaps his own kid, and even the mother is right there, isn't she gonna do something about it? Is she that dumb? And even say a ghost who's the main character, of this whole Creepshow thing. He's in a cloak and so on. He's right there, and he's he looks at the boy, and the boy looks at the ghost, and the comic book is on the side of the road, and that's where we kind of enter into these we enter into the comic book and with these tales. So the which one I should have thought this through, because looking at the tales, the segments, but that's okay. Let me see. So the first one, Father's Day. You know what? Hold on a second. Jump cut. All right, I tried to see if I can find the description and of say the segments and so on, but no luck. So I'm just gonna have to play it by ear and do my very best. So But anyways, so the first story, chapter 1, Father's Day, and basically the cast in the first story, there's Ed Harris, he plays Hank Blaine, Vivica Lindfors, she plays Aunt Bedelia, if I pronounced that right or wrong, also in Father's Day, Richard Grantham, played by Warner Shook, and there's also Auntie, what was it? Auntie somebody. Hold on a second. Yeah, I said Aunt Blenda, yeah. Sorry. She basically killed her own father because, this old man who's just wanting cake, and, just keeps, going on about it, even, tapping his cane on the chair, and eventually she just loses it and kills him with, a statue or just something, an object, small object, just killing him. And even when she visits his grave, she's just, taunting and just, saying awful things by his grave. And that's when her father's grave arises and starts, he kills her, but then starts killing the other family members, those who are in the house. Ed Harris and Sylvia, as I said, Sylvia Grantham, played by Carrie Nye, and even, say, the one last infamous shot of, say, a head on a cake, so that's very gruesome. And then there's, the second chapter 2, The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, and Jordy Verrill, if I'm pronouncing the last name right, is played by none other than Stephen King. So, yeah, because Stephen King, he's done some acting, of course, and, good for him, he's one of the main characters in a movie that he has written. Well, based off of his book, so the Creepshow, obviously. Although, no, he's written some movies. I can't recall if this was from his book, probably. I just, have to check again. But, I'm telling you, Stephen King, you can tell that Stephen King is having the time of his life as, as the role of Jordy Verrill. Like it starts off where, like, Jordy, he sees this meteor hitting, and then, like, he touches it, and, kind of, like, having dreams, like, what if he did this or that? Like, brought in the meteor rock, or he went to the doctor for something. Even, like, say, when he, like, touched it or something, it kind of affects him, like, kind of, like, he becomes all, bushy and, like, like, bushy, like, kind of, like, growing leaves or like basically like weeds or whatever on him. And eventually, when he becomes fully affected by it, he like transforms into something else. Even like say his house being like engulfed by bushes and weeds and so on. Eventually, when he turns into like this like bushy like monster, he basically kills himself, like blowing up his head, literally. And even like say it just keeps going. It keeps growing and so on. Wow. And then there's the third chapter, which this one was pretty good. Chapter 3, Something to Tide You Over. And this is where Richard Vickers, who is one of the main characters, and he's basically the a-hole in this. He's evil, yeah, definitely. To best describe him, being played by the late legendary Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, so that's rare for Leslie Nielsen to play a character like that. Maybe he probably has played one or two bad guys. I can't remember. But so yeah, him and the two other cast members in this, like there's Henry Wentworth, played by a young Ted Danson. So basically, Harry confronting Richard, and it turns out that, well, Richard left, I guess, yeah, Harry's love interest, and turns out, yeah, she's the daughter of Richard, Becky Vickers, played by Galen Ross, and basically Richard takes Ted to the beach, and where to show him where Becky is, and Richard has him at gunpoint, and he forces him to be buried in the sand until the waves like hit him and so on, even leaving like a tape recorder and a TV out there with him to see what's going on with Becky. I can't tell, like, maybe I was kind of wondering, is she still alive? Because, well, Richard has like security cameras set up at the beach, so is she in another location of the beach, like somewhere else around the beach? I don't know. Eventually, like, both Becky and and Harry, they both drown when the tides hit them. But my question is, how did he get to the ocean? Because of how because he was on shore, he was on the beach. How did he get that further? That's what I was wondering. And that's where Richard is, of course, back at the house, and, well, two like unexpected guests arrive. You don't see who they are yet until you see it's the like demoted versions of Harry and Becky. It's after they've been out in the water for so long. They're dead bodies. Oh, it's creepy. And Richard is trying to kill them, like shooting them in the head, and no luck. And like they're telling him, go to the beach, and I'd especially love it because with Leslie Nielsen's performance, just terrified, screaming. Eventually, he starts to laugh, and he's saying as he's buried in the sand, "I can hold my breath, for a long time." Blah blah blah, and yeah, and what a way to end that segment. And then comes, I think, the best, like one of the best segments in Creepshow. So yeah, 3 down, 2 to go. The second to last segment is The Crate. And this is pretty good, and it's almost like say the longest segment. Like it's like that and something to tide you over. That's also a bit long too. So in the crate, Henry Northrop, if I'm saying that right, played by the late Hal Holbrook, and his, I want to say, like, alcoholic wife or something. I mean, she acts drunk and just totally, yeah, basically. Wilma, played by Adrian Barbeau, I don't think I'm even saying her full name right. I apologize. But yeah, you could tell that he's got the wrong woman in his life. And also there's Dexter Stanley, played by Fritz Weaver. Yeah, I know that name, Fritz Weaver. And also in the crate, there's Charlie Gearson, played by Robert Harper, and Mike the janitor, played by Don Kiefer. Basically, like Mike the janitor, as he's called, and Dexter. They discover a crate from, I think, 1832, and it was discovered in the Arctica, in the Arctic. So, and that's when, like, even when they're opening it and they get a peek, you could see glowing, well, not glowing, but yellow eyes just staring, and the janitor just basically, Mike, he sticks his arm in thinking he saw like doubloons or something, and that's when, pardon my French, all hell breaks loose, and his hand is getting eaten by this creature. And I think, yeah, this creature in the crate is a very iconic, like, creature from Creepshow, very well known, and that being Fluffy the Crate Beast. Yeah, so I think, yeah, he's one of my favorite creatures in this movie too. And need I say, the visual effects in this, like the practical, like, creature, zombie, dead effects, you know what I'm saying? Like from a skeleton, like from the first segment, Father's Day, and like say the zombie-like, versions of Richard, no, I'm sorry, not Richard, Harry and Becky, to, of course, Fluffy the Crate Beast and the ghost who we see, who's like the main, like, center of Creepshow, with a cloak. Fantastic. Just fantastic effects, even say, like, practical effects were the best, even say in the 1980s decade. So anyways, from time to time, like, the Crate Beast killing and eating victims, even like, say, when Dexter is telling Henry about this, and, well, at one point Harry puts, like, some, like, powder or whatever the heck it is in Dexter's drink and causing him to be knocked out, so, yeah, and also he had to go back to, what was it? Like the laboratory? Yeah, I believe so. And he left a note, a message to his wife, Wilma, about what's going on and about Dexter. And did I forget to mention, because Henry had some, like, daydream moments where he just wanted to kill Wilma. Like one is where he's, like, shooting her right in the head, or, like, say, strangling her. But at the end, but when she arrives there, well, Henry has had enough, and, like, confronting Wilma, and Wilma lashes out at Henry, and that's when the Crate Beast, Fluffy, pops out of his crate and attacks and eats Wilma, and that's the end of her. And eventually Henry, like, locks up the crate containing Fluffy, and he takes it to, like, throw it out into the sea. And of course, all kind of ends well, like, for Henry and Dexter. But the Crate Beast, you think that, the Crate Beast is gonna drown, but nope. It's alive, of course. Well, and it managed to, it was alive throughout, like, say, the 19th century and up to, like, say, the 20th century. So, yeah. And then, so that's how it ends. Like, I especially like how each of the segments end, like, it kind of fades to comic book style, you know? So that's a nice detail. So after the segment, the crate, now we've come to the final segment, and this one's okay, you know, in my opinion. So, and that being, the fifth and final segment, Chapter 5, They're Creeping Up on You. And it features none other than the late, great, legendary actor, I should say, E.G. Marshall, who plays Upson Pratt, who is this basically an a-hole who, you know, is like running a business or something, and in his like office, well, I'd say his apartment, you know, it's all like nice and like white clean, like shiny and clean. It's like a whole like white like apartment building or something. But sometimes cockroaches show up, and sometimes he would be getting phone calls, and somebody was at his door at one point. And like those who appeared in it, like, let me see, something creeping up on you. Like there was one of his employees, White. Like we only hear their voices on the phone call, of course. White being played by David Early. Like I think White was saying to his boss that him and his wife and their kids, they were planning to go to Disney World, and basically yeah, Upson like just confronting White and just, you know, just being really just he's a mean boss. That's one thing. And also like in There's Something Creeping Up on You, like there was let me see, Lenora Katzno Meyer, I think I hope I said the last name right, voiced by Anne Muffley. She kind of like is like so angry at Upson and like letting him have it. Like Upson's responsible for her husband's death. You know, he killed him. And even like say, oh gosh, who was it? Like this one guy who was at the door. You just about see his face, but you know, still. And even like say like in hotels, you know, you look through the hole, like he has that. And even like say there's like a voice act, like they can talk through each other through the door, like he has something, you know, microphone, I guess. Oh yeah, and Fluffy being played by Daryl Ferrucci. Hope I said that right. Yeah, he was the body performance, of course, for Fluffy. So, anyways, eventually, and to speed things up, Upson, he gets a taste of his own medicine, like, you know, how much of a horrible person he is, and he's been constantly trying to kill the cockroaches. The cockroaches all come after him, even when there's a blackout, and I think in New York. So, you know, he gets into this, like, in this room, like, away from the cockroaches, but the cockroaches manage to get in there, and they kill him, basically. And even when, say, the guy comes back to the door, calling his name, he's dead in that room, and, oh gosh, this is really gross. Like, even though it's a fake body, you know, like, cockroaches coming out of his mouth, and, that's gross, you know, even as I'm explaining this. So that being the final chapter and segment. And then eventually, like, you know, at the end of it, these two, like garbage guys, like, picking up trash, and one of them just, you know, found the comic book, Creepshow, and looking through it, and they stumble upon one of them, which being, like, you know, order a voodoo doll that was already taken, like somebody ripped it off, like the phone number, obviously, and that being the boy who had the Creepshow comic book. He got a voodoo doll, and we kind of find out that it's a voodoo doll of his dad. Okay, Stan, played by Tom Atkins. Oh yeah, Tom Atkins. Yeah, he looked familiar. So yeah, because we see, like, you know, the family in the prologue and epilogue, and we see that the son literally is killing his dad, like, on his neck, stabbing on the neck, and like, yeah, and one last appearance of, like, say, the Ghost, who was in the prologue and epilogue, and who's on the cover of the Creepshow comic book. There's a bit of animation, actually, hand-drawn animation, and with the Ghost, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, and what a way to end that movie. But with all that being said, the Creepshow I thought was fine. It was not bad. You know, some segments I thought were okay, and some I thought were pretty good. Like, hey, as I said, you know, the segment, the third and fourth segment, Something to Tide You Over and The Crate, I think those are two pretty good segments of Creepshow. And I'd probably say Chapter 3, with Stephen King in The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill. That was pretty good too, especially with Stephen King. Like, I think, yeah, get a good kick out of Stephen King acting and his performance, yeah. Again, as I said, the effects were great. The music was good too. And, yeah, like, one of my favorite creatures, probably my two favorite ones, like, well, the ghost that's on the Creepshow comic book cover, and especially Fluffy the Crate Beast, definitely. Anyways, and what about you guys? What did you think of Creepshow? What you thought of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Creepshow, and happy anniversary to Creepshow. More reviews coming your way. They're gonna be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. Of course, continuing on reviewing Halloweenish films, and stay tuned later tonight because it's the return of Krueger on a certain street. You probably know what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.